we are going to be digging into some normal exercises. The past 3 weeks, if you haven't been watching those, have sort of been a little back to basics series where I've really gone ultra in depth with exactly what to be getting out of long tones, technique exercises, and of course, articulation exercises, because those are the 3 steps of the 3-step warm-up. So now we're getting back into sort of the normal live weekly warm-up routine where I go over a warm-up exercise and sort of challenge you to do it. The fun of this one is I'm not actually going to tell you which category of the 3-step warm-ups this is from. So I want you to sort of think about it, figure it out. Hopefully, if you've watched the last 3 weeks of the Back to Basics, then you sort of will have a good idea based on how I'm describing what to focus on with this. Then you should know what kind of exercise this is. But I want you to actually leave a comment with what kind of exercise you think this is. Is it a long tone exercise, a technique exercise, or an articulation exercise? So what that exercise actually is what I call ascending arpeggios. You can maybe call this broken arpeggios because it's similar to what some people call broken scales, where you sort of play 4 notes and then go back to the second note and play 4 notes and sort of work your way up. I feel like calling things broken makes it like too much of a negative connotation. So I like this idea of ascending better, also because you're sort of gradually ascending up the scale, or in this case, the arpeggio. So what we're going to do is take just your standard C major arpeggio, which goes C, E, G, C, and 2 octaves of that would be C, E, G, C, E, G, C in the higher octave. And what we're going to do with this is play 4 notes, C, E, G, C, and then back down to the second note, which in this case is E, and go E, G, C, E, and then the next note, G, C, E, G, and then the last note, C, E, G, C, and sort of work our way up and back down. So let me go ahead and demonstrate that, and then I'll talk about what we want to be focusing on and what we want to be getting out of this. And if you already have an idea if this is a long tone technique or articulation scale or warm-up, then put that in the comments. Let me do that one more time for Facebook and YouTube so you can see my fingers better. And yes, Colleen got it on Facebook with the comment that this is a technique exercise, and she is 100% correct, because what I'm focusing on are my fingers. And you sort of actually got a hint of that because I did it again so you could see my fingers, because a big part of the focus of this is fingers because it's a technique exercise. Something that I should be doing that I'm not doing because of the recording situation is that I should be playing this with a metronome, because technique exercises should 99% of the time be done with a metronome so that you can be really precise and make sure that you're perfectly even about everything. And then, of course, because we're playing steadily, rhythmically, and having to move smoothly from note to note at exactly the right time, that's what makes this a technique exercise. Now, a couple bonus things or special things about this that makes it a little bit of a different kind of warm-up exercise is that it has to do with sound quality a bit as well. Whereas technique exercises, typically you only need to worry about the finger motion. With sound quality sort of being in the background, we still want good sound quality, of course, as always, on everything that we play. But typically technique exercises are really, really focused on the finger motion. In this one, there's some opportunities for both sound quality and finger motion, actually, that can be really helpful. So as you notice, going through the arpeggio is a little bit more challenging than going through a scale for fingers and sound quality. Fingers wise, you're not just moving one finger at a time and making it really easy for yourself. Same thing sound quality wise, whereas when you're doing one finger at a time, you're able to go from C to D to E, and it's very close to each other. So it's easy to match the sound and have the same sort of voicing and aim for each note in exactly the same way, basically, with only the smallest of changes. When we're doing these arpeggios, even from C to E is a bigger difference in terms of how those notes feel and how those notes respond than C to D even. And once we get into some trickier bits where C, E, G, C, so G to C is a little bit tricky, but even more so the C back down to the E can be really challenging to get that all smoothed out. It's really easy to have very uneven sound quality when you're doing this kind of exercise. Maybe something like this. Where notes are all popping out. Some notes are too soft and you can't really hear them with a good clear sound. Some notes are exploding out, and there's all kinds of variety to it. So it is really quite challenging to do this exercise and have every single note coming out with the same great sound quality that we want to get out of every single note that we play in our warm-up. So I hope that helps. One last little idea with this too is actually the finger coordination, because C back to E or even C to E, this C, requires much more finger coordination because you're skipping notes and not just going one note at a time. So that's the big opportunity for this exercise, is to work on sound quality matching through all the bigger leaps, and also finger coordination being perfectly coordinated through all of the bigger leaps. So I hope that has been helpful for you. I hope you enjoy practicing this exercise. I want to mention two things real quick, sort of at the end here. One, I released last week this really big training. It's like over an hour of what I'm calling the 5 must-know clarinet tips. And maybe it could even more broadly be the 5 must-know musicianship tips. A lot of the tips in there are sort of about general music and how to work on music, not just clarinet specific, but there's some clarinet specific things as well. But if you want to check out that training, it's completely free. All you have to do is register by going to quickstartclarinet.com/training, and you'll be able to access that and put in your name and email, and then just watch the training right away. I think it's a really fun one, and I think you'll get a lot out of that training, hopefully, and it's completely free. The second thing that I want to mention is that the Quick Start Clarinet YouTube channel is doing a little bit of a subscriber drive where I'm just really trying to push and get 750 subscribers by the end of the year. We're getting there. We're at about 635, I think, the last time I checked. So still a little over 100 to go in these last couple of weeks, which is really going to be a stretch. But if you share this video, share the Quick Start Clarinet YouTube page and tell people to subscribe. And if you're watching this and not subscribed, then just hit that subscribe button. It's so easy and will really make my 2020 if we can hit 750 subscribers by the end of the year. So thank you so much for watching this. Thank you even more for subscribing and sharing if you are able to do that. Don't forget to go to quickstartclarinet.com/training to get that awesome free training. And I will see you next week for what I think will be the last live weekly warm-up of the year, because I think I'm going to take a week off after Christmas from the live weekly warm-up just to have a little break, and then we'll be back at the first of the year. Next week is going to be a fun one. It's going to be a little bit Christmas themed, so I'm really looking forward to that. But for now, good luck working on your ascending arpeggios and getting those all sounding even with perfectly great rhythmic, precise finger motion as well.